Hey everyone, this is Sugandha and you're watching Ready with HR, and I hope so you all are well and you all are waiting for my sessions. Today we are going to discuss something very interesting, and yes, so we are going to discuss how to conduct interviews, and this is what this is HR course module 2 session 5, and yes, of course part 3. I think that you might have seen the previous sessions which were okay. Let's have a quick recap so that you could understand, and if you haven't watched them, please check it out from the pinned comment. So we have completed 9 sessions till date. 2 were from module 1, that is, one was introduction to HRM and second was basic elements, and after that it was module 2 recruitment and selection. We have done what? Identification of job vacancy, then job analysis, sourcing, screening, and this is interviewing. In interviewing itself we have done 3 sessions. First was about what are job interviews, second was modes of interviews. In that we have 2 parts, 5 modes in one session, 5 modes in other session, and now today this is part 3, in which what we are going to discuss, we are going to discuss considerations for choosing interview modes. Like in part 2 we have discussed what are the modes of interviews, so what all things we need to consider while choosing interview modes, that we would be discussing in 5 minutes, and after that simple steps on how to conduct job interviews. Okay, so let's get started with it. Make sure to subscribe this channel if you're watching me for the very first time, and yes, to hit that cute notification bell icon so that you could get my updates later on as well. And yes, you can become member of this channel and can get few perks. You can get these sessions before others. Okay, and yes, I'm planning something good for my members. So if I would be having 10 plus members, then I would be introducing something for the members especially. Okay, so for that you need to become member of this channel, and yes, that will be helpful for you. So let's get started, and let's start with the considerations. Now we have discussed 5 modes of interviews. We want to know that in what circumstances we can choose different kinds of modes. Like while choosing a mode of interview, what all we need to consider. So first is job role. See, we need to consider the job role. Nature of the job role may influence the choice of interview mode. Like we can say in technical roles, video or in-person interviews for practical assessments are more suitable. Okay, and next is geographical location. Like candidates from different locations might require virtual interviews to facilitate the process without the need for travel. As we have discussed that yes, there is an advantage of a video interview, Skype interview, Zoom interviews, because people from different geographical locations can be available in interviews through virtual mode. So if we have a lot of candidates from a different geographical location, then yes, we should consider using a mode where we can interact with the candidates without meeting in person. Okay, and yes, obviously without traveling. Okay, next is time constraints. So we remember phone or asynchronous interviews, video interviews, which save time for both candidates and yes, interviews, especially in screening, initial screening stages. Like we can't call all the 100, 200, 500 candidates for the interview. If we will have phone screening, if we would be doing asynchronous video interviews, then yes, it will be helpful to shortlist the candidates and call in-person candidates only those people who are more suitable for the profile. Okay, and next is cost. Yes, obviously we need to understand that travel cost and other costs in in-person interviews are more. So it's so if we are cost conscious, like if you want to save cost, then yes, virtual options are more cost effective, especially we can say for remote or international candidates, because we have to pay their conveyance, their traveling cost. We can say that choosing appropriate interview mode depends on, yes, obviously specific requirements of the job, organization's resources like time and cost, and the preferences of both the candidates and the interviewers. And yes, each mode offers unique benefits and considerations, allowing for a yes, tailored approach to the hiring process. Okay, so this is means all these things we need to consider while choosing interview modes. Let's move on to the next. This is how to conduct job interviews. This is very easy. step by step we are going to discuss, and these are around 8 steps. Okay, first of all, let's name them, and after that in detail. Okay, after that we are going to discuss in detail. So first step is obviously preparation. Here we are going to discuss about what kind of preparation we have to do. Then is a setting the stage, yes, important again. Conducting interview finally. Then while interviewing, active listening. Then yes, you need to take notes. And closing the interview, how we have to close the interview after this post interview evaluation, and yes, follow up. Now please don't go from this session like this, like if you have seen these steps you think that yes, all done. No, when you will be conducting interviews, you would be having so many issues if you would be following only these things, because you need to understand how these things need to be done actually, and that we are going to discuss in detail. Okay, so first is preparation. Now, what kind of preparation? We need to review the candidate's application. Familiarize yourself with the candidate's resume, cover letter, and any other submitted materials. Now, you might be thinking, we are doing things repeatedly. Why we are doing it repeatedly? See, at every stage, we need to do this so that we are able to memorize, so that we are able to know the details, specific details, even the minute details we are not missing. Okay. And yes, there is a revision process as well. We are able to revise each candidate's profile. So, review the candidate's application. This is important. We need to review once again the candidate resume, cover letter, and any other submitted material. Whatever we have received in person or we have received on through mail, we need to check this. Even if we are interviewing 50 or 100 candidates, then also. Now, what you can do is, if you're planning to conduct bulk interviews, then yes, you can divide them into parts, because you need to do this process. Don't skip this process of reviewing the candidate's application. This is very important because you can miss minute details. Okay, next is understand the job requirements. Again, you must have a clear understanding of the JD and the skills, qualification, experience required for the position. Again, you might be thinking you are repeating at every stage. Yes, we have to repeat it at every stage. I have seen the recruiters, HRs, interviewers who are not clear, exactly not clear about the position, and they are taking interviews, and after they have rejected the candidates, they realize that they have done a mistake because they skipped the minute detail. They didn't remember about the JD, or they missed out the skills, qualification, experience required for the position, and the candidate whom they rejected possess those qualifications, skills, or experience. Okay, so you need to do this. Next is prepare questions. Now, here I always advise people to prepare questions even if you are experienced. See, even experienced people do preparations, lot of preparations for their presentations. Okay, so develop a set of structured questions that assess the candidate's skills, experiences, and cultural fit. So you can include, yes, behavioral questions that ask about past experiences, as they can reveal a candidate's abilities and attitudes. Okay, so prepare questions. It's always advisable to prepare different set of questions. Yes, you need to understand that what kind of questions you have to ask the candidate. As per that only you have to tailor those questions. As per that only you have to prepare those questions. Okay, but yes, you must have few questions in handy. It might be possible that you are not able to attend the interview and you have appointed someone else, someone representative, some HR representative is taking interview, means first round of interview or something. Then you can pass on that set of questions to that representative, and that person can ask those questions. Okay, now you might differ here that how it can be possible that you have passed on those questions to someone else, and someone else is asking, he or she might not be aware of the answers, or that. See, this is very normal thing. Substitute HRs or representatives, as people are taking interviews on daily basis. Someone who is responsible like you, someone who is also taking the interviews, can take these interviews. Okay, next is setting the stage. Now, what kind of a stage I'm setting? Create a comfortable environment. What kind of comfortable environment I'm talking about? Now, choose a quiet, very quiet place if possible, and a comfortable location for the interview where both you and the candidate can focus without disturbances. Don't take a place where a lot of people are moving and you want to tell that candidate that this is our workplace and here we are interviewing. No, that could be done later on. You can introduce workplace later on. When you are meeting a candidate first time or even second time for the interview, for the specific interview introduction and those interview questions, you want to know the candidate, you want to interact with that candidate, and you want to know each other, then it's really important that you choose a place which is quiet so that you both can interact well. Next is welcome the candidate. Now, I always feel that HRs or recruiters expect that candidate will welcome them. Yes, means they will first introduce or they will first do the greetings, but it's not the case, and you can do it other way as well. You can greet the candidate warmly, offer them a seat, and start with some small talk to help them relax. It's not always thinking that, oh, let me judge how he greeted me, how he responded me. See, when you will greet, you can judge on how he responded to you. Okay, that you can check. Like we always guide the candidate to ask for a seat and greet the interviewer. In the same way, I always advise my colleagues who are taking interviews and the people who are taking interviews. If my trainees are taking interviews and they're sitting, I always advise them to greet the candidate first. It helps the candidate to get one positive vibe, and he or she is more comfortable to respond to you. Fine. So you can explain the interview process, briefly outline the structure of the interview so the candidate knows what to expect. Do it once, you will feel that yes, candidate is no more a robotic kind of a person who has crammed 20-25 questions and is sitting in front of you. If you are not making him comfortable, then yes, he might be wondering those questions like where do you see yourself after 5 years, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, those boring questions. Yes, you also have to ask those questions, but answers are those set answers which he might have seen on on any platform, like on any YouTube channel or from any career coach or something. All answers are same. But if you're making him comfortable, then yes, you can get that answer which is real. Okay, so please set the stage for the candidate. Next is conducting the interview. Now, how you have to conduct the interview? We have set the space and we have set the stage as well. Okay, we have prepared, we have done preparation. Now it's time for conducting the interview. Now it's time for insight story where you and candidate is sitting. So first of all, what you can do is you can ask icebreaker questions. Now, what are icebreaker questions? Now, start with some easy, non intrusive questions to help the candidate feel at ease. For example, you could ask about their journey to the interview or their interest outside of work. These are icebreaker questions, making them more comfortable. Okay, with the greetings and all, you have already made them comfortable, but when you will ask simple questions, not like, okay, where do you see yourself after 5 years? Or what do you know about our company? Everyone knows that these 10-15 questions will be asked. But when you would be asking these icebreaker questions, that how you came to the interview place and how is this traveling was safe or what not? About your interest outside of work, something like that. Fine. Next is behavioral questions. Now you can ask situational or behavioral questions to understand how the candidate handled a specific situations in the past. For example, you can say, can you tell me about a time when you had to resolve a conflict within your team? Now, you might be thinking that these are also the same questions which we hear, which we listen everywhere on the Google or on any YouTube channel. But these questions help to understand the real capability of handling the situations, means how a person handles situations. In that case, he might be phrasing any story, he might be telling you any story. So you could take it as it is, that yes, it happened with him or her, or you can take that if it will happen in future, then he or she can do whatever he or she has told. told. Next is technical questions. Now you might be thinking I'm using he or she again and again. Why I'm not using he or she? It's, understandable that I'm talking for any candidate. Okay, it could be male or female, right? I like talking like this. Okay, so that's why I'm using. I can use he or she also later on. I just like to interact with everyone. That's why I'm using this, so that people can relate more. Okay, next is technical questions. So if the job requires specific technical skills, yes, then you have to ask some technical questions related to the candidate's expertise. Now, you might be thinking why HR is asking technical questions that should be asked in technical round. No, it's not the case. First is if the technical round is not there, then yes, you can ask. If the technical round is there, you can ask the random one or two questions, and you should be aware about the profile. You should be aware about the technical questions also. That's why I always say that please take care of, please know about the role for which you are working, okay, for which you are hiring. Know about the role very well. So you can ask, like, can you explain how you would, and you can give a specific technical task relevant to the job. Okay. Next is cultural fit questions. These are very important questions. Ask questions related to the candidate's work style, values, and capability and compatibility with your organization's culture. For example, what type of work environment do you thrive in? Now, this is a question which will tell that how candidate work, how candidate would like to work, what kind of culture candidate likes. Allow questions from the candidate. Now, you must give an opportunity to the candidate so that they can ask questions. Okay, like regarding the job, regarding the team, regarding the company. Now, this shows their genuine interest. Only we are not interviewing them, they are also assessing us that they can be part of organization or not, and they might be having several questions with them. So you must give an opportunity so that they can ask questions. Next is active listening. Again, this is really important. You have to engage actively. I understand that after taking 50 or 80 interviews, it's not possible to have same kind of engagement with the candidates, because yes, it becomes monotonous sometimes because we get all those cram answers again and again, same questions, but yes, cram answers again and again. So it's really boring. It becomes boring at times. It becomes we are not able to concentrate that much. But still, I always advise people to take that much interviews only on a day which we can deal with. Okay, don't overburden yourself, and don't even call so many candidates and you're not able to take their interviews. Then you're rescheduling. This is not professionalism. Candidate will never turn up again. If you're planning interview for a day, then you should take all the interviews a day. Yes, exceptional circumstances happen that yes, interview committee is not there or something, means some exceptional circumstances happened on that day, but you must try to take all the interviews, whatever interviews you have planned. Don't try to postpone it just for a reason that yes, you got exhausted or something. Rather, you must plan interviews in parts only. Like you can plan it for 2 or 3 days. Okay, so that could be better. And yes, for engaging actively, what you can do, you can maintain eye contact, you can nod, and yes, you can show that you are actively listening. Like I have seen people, they say that if we will nod, candidate will think that yes, they have answered right, and we have taken that right answer. And if we won't select that candidate, that candidate will think that my all answers were correct at the time of interview, and why you have rejected me. See, if you're a candidate and you're listening this, and if you are an HR, you're listening this is for both. That nodding doesn't mean that you are acknowledging the correction or incorrect thing. You are acknowledging what that person is saying. Just that. You're not acknowledging right or wrong. You're acknowledging whatever he is saying. Like you are taking whatever he's saying. You're not evaluating at that time. Okay. So if you're a candidate, please try to understand that giving a smile, nodding doesn't mean that yes, you are saying everything right and we are acknowledging you're right or wrong. We are acknowledging what you are saying. Okay. So Yes, HRs can do this, and you must too, actually, so that you have a great connection with the candidate. Okay, so that you can build a great connection with the candidate. Even if the candidate is not selected, then it's fine. But yes, terms should be fine. Okay, and yes, what more you can do is in this, like you can encourage the candidate to elaborate on their answers if necessary. Okay, if if some case study question is there and you want them to elaborate it, then yes, you can ask for the question, or you can add your inputs to it so that he can or she can answer more. Okay, next is taking notes. Very important. This thing interviewers avoid. They think that candidate will think, oh, what he's writing. Okay. No, you have to document your responses. Take brief notes during the interview so that these can help you remember the candidate's responses and behaviors, because after this hectic interview day you are not able to remember each and every candidate. Here lot of people say, lot of HRs say, like my colleagues used to say that oh, I remember this candidate, oh, I remember, like I have a good memory, I can remember what he said, what she said. And after 2 or 3 days when I ask them what that candidate said, I didn't remember, I didn't remember the whole story. He was saying something like this. She was saying something like this. What is this? Like, you need to remember the responses. You need to remember the useful responses, which is actually required for the shortlisting part, actually required for the selection part, or to proceed further with the candidate, right? So, you must take the brief notes, and so that you can remember this. Documentation is always valuable when we are taking a decision. Okay, so don't feel shy in taking notes, even if you are a senior person. That's fine, completely fine. Next is closing the interview. How we have to close the interview. You have to explain next steps. Very important. Let the candidate know what the next steps in the hiring process are and the expected timeline for a decision. See, everyone knows that what is the expected timeline. What you can do is, to be safe, to be in safe situation, you can extend 2 or 3 days more with that timeline. Like you are aware that yes, you would be able to take the decision within a week. Then you can say that yes, it will be done in 9 or 10 days. Okay. If there is uncertainty. Okay. If you feel that yes, there is uncertainty, there are chances that we won't be able to do within a week, then you can say 9 or 10 days. At least tell the candidate. Here on my channel, lot of people, lot of candidate message me by saying, they comment that ma'am, HRs do not respond properly. They never tell the next step. They say, okay, we will tell you later. We will respond later. We will call you later. Okay, but they never call. Okay, they never tell. So it's better to explain the next step. At least tell them some time, minimum or maximum time which you have, so that until that time they are not disturbed, they are calm, and they are not following you, and they're not wasting their time and your time. Okay, next is express appreciation. Very important. You need to thank the candidate for their time and express your appreciation for their interest in the position. Now we always think that oh, we are HRs, oh, we are representatives, means people think like that. Not all, but yes, few people say that. Why we have to thank candidate, have to thank us because we are taking their interview. See, if they want job, we need that candidate. Okay, so it's always mutual. Even if we are representative of the company, doesn't matter. Okay, we are always the representative of the company or the employer, but we must thank the candidate for their time. See, these minute things helps lot with the final decision. If you didn't select that candidate will never be that provoking, will try to understand that okay, there were so many candidates and the interviewer has already told me that this will happen. Like there is a situation, I can be shortlisted or not, and if it will be done, then they will tell me after 10 days or 15 days. So there is clarity in their mind, clarity in their thoughts, because we have already told them. Okay, so please do such a small thing so that later on it's easy for you to take hard decisions. Fine. And yes, all these things you need to consider your company rules as well. What your manager says regarding all this. Okay, I have told you the procedure, I have told you those things which are professional, I have recommended you, advised you to do this. But yes, you must focus on your company rules first, your manager's instructions, how they are directing you to do anything, like how they are telling you to conduct the interviews, how they are telling you to respond to the candidates. But yes, you can give your input that how we can do such things. Okay, how we can thank the candidate, how we can appreciate them. Like you can tell your process, your way, that if you if your manager likes, then yes, they can introduce this also. And if you're a manager, these things are in your hand, so you can change them as per your convenience. Okay, so next is post interview evaluation, important after all these things. Now, how you will do things. First is collaborate. Now, see, if there are multiple interviewers, if there were multiple interviewers, meet to discuss each candidate's strengths and weaknesses. And yes, this collaboration ensures a more comprehensive evaluation. Like there were a lot of interviewers, means multiple interviewers were there, and all the interviewers were not sitting together. It could be a situation, then you can discuss with them. Even if all the interviewers were together, then also you can discuss about each candidate. It happens several times that if three or four interviewers are sitting together, then yes, after one candidate's interview is over, then they take 5 minutes gap and they discuss about this candidate and write their feedback. This is also a great practice if there are less candidates, like 20, 30, 40. So you can do this as you have time. So you can take 2 minutes, 5 minutes to discuss that. What are the strengths, weaknesses, and how you have to proceed with that particular candidate. And then the thing is close at that particular time only. Otherwise, if it's not possible, then yes, later on you have to do this. Next is you can do what? Score candidates. Again, you can score candidates like using a score system or whatever evaluation system you have chosen. Then yes, you can assess the candidates based on their responses and yes, qualifications. Last is follow up. Again, important. Now, communicate decisions. You need to inform candidates about the outcome of their interview, whether they are selected for the next stage or not. Now, you have to provide constructive feedback if possible. Here, this is a very crucial step for your company, for being a representative of the company, of the owner, and being HR representative, because the way you will provide the feedback, it reflects a lot of things regarding your company. Okay, so you need to understand that how you have to give the feedback to the candidate, and how constructively they can take. Like every candidate is not same. We have faced several experiences while giving the feedback to the candidates. All candidates are not same. They are not able to accept the rejection. At times they are not able to even accept why they are kept in shortlisted list, and what all things went wrong. They talk about evaluation, and a lot of things are there. So before giving any feedback to the candidate, you need to remember that you need to frame proper feedback, and that should be professional, that should be in a professional language, and that should be a constructive one. So you need to discuss with your manager before giving any rejection feedback to the candidates. Okay. Next is yes, continuous improvement. You need to reflect on the interview process and think that continuous improvement. Now, what kind of improvement here we are talking about? We are talking about the improvement of your interview process. It could be that few things were not correct, were not at right place, were not executed well. Okay, so reflect on the interview process, think about what went well, and how it could be improved. Okay, and yes, use this feedback to refine your interviewing techniques for future candidates. Okay, like when you have to interview the future candidates, what all changes you can make to this process. Okay, now this is how we conduct job interviews, right? So yes, we need to remember that each interview should be tailored to the specific job requirements and organizational culture. By conducting thorough and yes, thoughtful interviews, you increase the likelihood of selecting candidates who are not only qualified but yes, they are good fit for your organization. Okay, so this is the process. We can conduct job interviews in this way. This is a step by step process. Yes, you can do formulations as per your company, organization, your manager. So this is a general process which I've discussed step by step. Whatever changes you have to make in the process, that is as per company, organization. So if you are on a fresher position, executive position, like fresher executive positions where you don't have authority to draft this process yourself, then you must take green signal from your manager before drafting it, before executing it actually. Okay, so this is all for the day. Like I have discussed this in detail. I hope so this was clear. You people were requesting me again and again to do this session in English, and yes, this is like we have done it. So, in the next session, we are going to discuss rounds of interviews. This is also a requested session where we are going to discuss technical round, cultural fit round, yes, different kind of round. Here we have discussed the type of questions and how we conduct interviews. So, this is different from round of interviews. Okay, how this is different, we will discuss it in the next session. So be here, and so if it's helpful, please do let me know in the comment section. I'm not getting that much comments, right? So till next video, all the very best to stay happy, stay safe. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.